Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871 chiming in with a new edition of Financial Report. Today, today we're talking once again about the future of driverless cars. As you saw in the title, it is called "How Free Self-Driving Car Rides Could Change Everything." I was arguing this very topic with my bus driver buddy. You guys remember him, right? Talking about him anyway. I kind of I think I kind of spooked him a little bit about his financial future. He would argue so vehemently against the impending nature of self-drive technology. In his mind, it's like 30 years away. No. He had a whole bunch of arguments and stuff like that. One of his arguments was that it would be so expensive, that this feature on these cars are going to be super duper expensive. And I kept trying to tell him that it's going to follow a business model very, very much like, well, like the devices that I'm talking to you on. Smartphones, cell phone technology. You know, I was actually going to do this particular episode somewhere over in what used to be called the Shore Mall. Over there is, let's see, what is it now? I think it's like the facility has been sliced up into a number of different businesses. I think Wells Fargo Bank is over there. I think Salad Works is over there, and a couple of other businesses. I think Dairy Queen's over there too. But point is, once upon a time, many, many years ago, it used to be a place called Cell One. Now, we're going back so far when, you know, Sprint was selling like 7 cents a minute for long distance, you know. And depending on your age out there, you're probably wondering what the hell long distance is. Anyway, I was arguing with him, my bus driver buddy. I was trying to tell him how when mobile service, it had finally come down. It came down enough to the lowly commoners level. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute here. Let me get into this article. Okay, and it reads, it's Saturday night and you're planning on an evening out. You're firing up a ride-sharing app to head out to your favorite restaurant, but then an ad appears offering a free ride to a new Thai spot on the other side of town. Suddenly you're reconsidering your plans. Why pay for a ride to one neighborhood when another one is totally free? Ultimately, your favorite restaurant could lose a customer. Scenarios like this play out in the coming era of self-driving vehicles. The cost of offering fully autonomous rides could be so low that businesses will be tempted to subsidize the rides to boost their bottom line. According to experts, the move could have big implications not only for businesses, but for cities, public transportation systems, like my bus driver buddy, and car owners. There's an infinite number of new advertising modes that become possible, said, I tell you, these people and their names, Hod Lipson, H-O-D Lipson, L-I-P-S-O-N, a Columbia University engineer professor and author of the book Driverless Intelligent Cars and the Road Ahead. We'll see a lot of innovation, he says. In some cases, Uber, Lyft rides are already priced so low that they're competitive with public transportation. With self-driving vehicles, costs will be even lower. After all, there will be no driver to pay. I'm pretty sure New Jersey Transit's overhead is, those drivers make a lot of money. Anyway, ultimately, public transportation systems could be undercut. this is what I was saying. I'm gonna scroll down here a little bit more. This could result in a, hold it. According to ARK Invest Analysis, Tasha Kenney, Keeny, someone taking a ride share in a self-driving vehicle could experience even cheaper rides. But some riders may not see a point in riding with strangers if it's only saving them 5% on an already low fare. Let's see. This thing goes on to say, free transportation might seem like a widely revolutionary idea, but there are already examples today, such as airport shuttles and buses. It goes on to talk about how one particular town is using something called a Sprint service, golf cart shuttling people around inside of a city, in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, this thing goes on to say, if the money made off self-driving vehicle data, let me back up, I want to read this part. The big question is just how far free or nearly free self-driving rides will reach. Niche services such as Sprint won't get you everywhere you need to go, because a golf cart service shuttles you around. Car data is so lucrative that Ben Volkow, B-O-L-K-O-W, CEO of Otonomo, an Israeli startup. I'm not getting off onto that. An Israeli startup that sells vehicle data expects automakers to make more money selling data than selling cars. I've been arguing this as well. The data that's collected from your mobile device, it is so incredibly lucrative. If you knew how lucrative it was, the very first thing that would cross your mind is, why the hell am I paying a phone bill? You know, if every keystroke that I make on my device is so valuable and you're making absurd, just disgusting amounts of money off of that data, then why am I on top of that even paying a phone bill? The big question is just how far will free or nearly free self-driving rides will reach. Niche services like Sprint, yeah, I said that already. Car data so lucrative. An Israeli startup that sells vehicle data expects automakers to make more money selling data than the cars themselves by 2020. If the money made off self-driving vehicle data outweighs the cost of offering rides, then it becomes reasonable for a business to offer free rides broadly. Anderson cautions that it's premature to think about how a business model around a self-driving taxi could function and how the future will play out. There are still technical hurdles to develop, such as liability, regulations, things like that. A lot of the things that I talked about, I think in the, what was it, a couple blogs ago, you know, when I was out there in front of Egg Harbor Township, you know, police headquarters. Yeah, so a great many years ago, we're going back to like the mid-90s, Cell One, they embarked upon a prepaid cell service. I can't speak for the rest of the nation, but I can speak for New Jersey. I was the very first person in New Jersey because Cell One was the only one to offer it. This is before this predated track phones and things like that. The phone was incredibly basic. Send a call, receive a call. It did have caller ID, and that was about it. It could do nothing else. The phone was about the size, it wasn't as big as your 1980s cell phone, but about the size of a cordless house phone, about like that. $300, and that's all it could do, and it cost $1 a minute to use. And you had to buy your time in blocks of 1 hour. How I was able to afford it is basically repetitive. How can I say this? Because my income throughout the entirety of my life has always been, it varies sometimes, 40%, 30%, sometimes it's 50% shy of affording an apartment with all the utilities. So if I'm not paying that, then there's money left over. It's just not enough money left over for an apartment, things like that. But anyway, so that's what's going to happen with these driverless cars. They're going to follow a very similar business model to cell phones. They're going to make this available to everybody, and it's going to revolutionize life. There's going to be a lot of businesses, starting with municipalities, courts, and things like that, that are going to feel exactly the deep impact into their revenue source and things like that. Drunk driving charges. I'll put it to you like this. I would be willing to trust my life to an autonomous vehicle that's been well programmed to seek out and to sense cyclists. I know there's a little bit of there's some conflict right now with the cycling community. Cycling community, they are working with the leading manufacturers, Tesla, Ford, Uber. They are working with them. Google, they're working with them. So basically, once that gets worked out, and just like drivers of vehicles, human drivers of vehicles, they're faced with the same problem with cyclists. It is true, not every single cyclist is going to obey the law. As a matter of fact, I'll even go further and admit that there is a very large population of cyclists that don't follow the rules. So there's going to have to be some serious, I don't know if I want to say a crackdown on cyclists. And that's going to get weird because, cyclists have for so long been regarded as toys, trinkets, and things like that. But, point is that once the computers are correctly programmed, and that's very, very nearing completion, and once the auto drive becomes ubiquitous, once the roads are populated with a very, very high percentile of autonomous vehicles, that's where the safety. So just like an inoculation, just like a vaccine, herd immunity. Once the herd that's out there on these roads are autonomous, these vehicles, they'll be able to talk with one another. They might be different companies, but they'll be able to talk with one another. Garmin, they might want to get in on this. I could probably activate a feature on my Garmin that transmits a GPS signal back up to the GPS, making my presence known on the road. So it would be much more than just simply the autonomous vehicles, cameras, and radar that are detecting me within their proximity range, but they could probably know I've got X amount of cyclists 5 miles up the road traveling at these particular speeds at this particular position. A lot of things could be they could collect data on the types of cyclists that we are. I'm approaching a road cyclist, someone that rides their bicycle for training and fitness. They'll be going at like 30 miles an hour or 25 miles an hour. Or they might be coming up on a person such as myself, a vehicular cyclist that is utility oriented. I might be going anywhere between 15 to 20 miles an hour, but a utility inner city commuting cyclist is much more accustomed to vehicles, so hopefully they'd give us a wide berth and things like that. There's a whole bunch more I could say on that, but I don't want to get too long here in my time. So yeah, that's what's going on. A lot of the things that I've been predicting are very much indeed coming true. Herd immunity. Once the herd on the road is all autonomous and self-driving, you have no idea. Matter of fact, there's a gaggle of kids that come in here on their bicycles and things like that. They just come piling in a whole herd. Think of this. What if your child, your 12-year-old child, asks you, "Hey Dad, hey Mom, can I borrow the car?" You know, to you right now, it probably seems like it would blow your effing mind. And they want to borrow the car to go to New York or go to Philadelphia, go to Delaware. What? How about if they wanted to go to Virginia or go to DC, you know? That would like blow your mind. What are you talking about? Once the infrastructure to accommodate the vehicles, we're talking about vehicles that they can get into a super highway traveling at 250 miles an hour. You know, who's going to be with you? You know, who are you taking? Oh, I'm going to be taking, you know, 5 or 6 of my friends. You know, a gaggle of 12-year-olds could pile into your autonomous vehicle and whisk them away at hundreds of miles per hour to cross state lines. You know, and there would be more danger in putting your child on a humanly driven school bus. Google the stats on school buses, and that's all I'm going to say. Alright, okay guys, that's what's going on. Financial report, self-driving cars are coming. Hopefully they will take cyclists into consideration, and hopefully the close pass and the what you call it won't be an issue anymore. Let's see. I think I'm going to save I have a topic. In England, fixed gear rider collides, kills a pedestrian. I'm going to save that because I want to talk about all aspects of cycling, not just simply we the cyclists that are being victimized, but you have to know, put it like this, if you want to know about fixed gear riders, if you don't want me to, I'm not going to get into it right now, Google and or YouTube people like Lucas Brunel, Alley Cat Racing. Right now in Barcelona, I believe they're having their Red Hook criterium. Red Hook crits are incredibly dangerous. It's a closed course. It's not dangerous to pedestrians or motorists. Red Hook crits are a closed course, but you can also check out the Alley Cats, and that's a discipline. I know, it's like, because there's nothing disciplined whatsoever about Alley Cat racing. It's all incredibly reckless. It's a very reckless form of cycling. Alright guys, we'll talk about it later. For right now, this is what we're dealing with, and talk to you soon. Total Control 871.